It says I'm live. I hope I'm working. I never seem to know. And there it goes. It's coming on. Hi, guys. How's everyone doing? Happy Sunday. I hope that you guys have what? Monday off? Yeah, tomorrow. If you have Monday off, give me a little thumbs up. Say, yes, absolutely. Hallelujah. You have Monday off. Looking forward to a 4-day week. Um, yeah, this is so different because I have like two different screens kind of happening here. And so on one side of my screen, I can see that I am like what I'm doing right now. On the other side, it's like lagging. You're not off. Oh my gosh. That's craziness. I think I've always had off. Like even here in Pennsylvania and in Alabama, I had Monday off. So, oh, I'm so sorry. Holy moly. Oh, no kids on Friday, PD instead. I mean, that's okay. That's good, Miss Kindergarten. I'm glad that you got that. At least you have that. Oh, y'all, I feel so bad then because I'm over here all excited that I have the day off. I don't have to worry about it. And I think I just touched on a sore subject here. All right. So today is Sunday night, and I am kind of doing some planning. I figured I'd kind of check in with all of you doing a live feed. I'm going to be really, really honest with all of y'all. I had done my vlog like I normally do my vlog, but I had such an awful week. Not as far as like my kids go. I think I had an awful week, like me personally. And I don't think I ever really shared things like this on my channel just because I never like to touch on these types of subjects. But like I felt very, very insecure with myself as a teacher, and with like how I am personally because I don't have a ton of friends, mainly because I'm a homebody and I will totally just stay at home all the time. So for me, this was like a really rough week because I felt like I kept comparing myself to all of the other teachers in my building, and I was not feeling as successful as a teacher, as an educator, the way that I wanted to be. So I was just like putting myself down. It was not a good week for it. So I ended up scrapping the video that I did because it was so bad, and ended up deciding to do this live chat and kind of like I'm going to talk planning and looking into what I have going on this week. But yeah, so I hope that totally is okay with all of you. So I would love to know what you guys are doing this week as far as your planning. And um, Sharon, I'm so glad that I am not the only one that has these feelings. But I would love to know what you guys are doing as far as like your planning wise, what you have going on this week, any questions that you have as far as planning goes, and my planning process or anything to that extent, I will be happy to answer it tonight. So I have a 4-day week, and on top of me having a 4-day week, I also am going to have like half a day on Tuesday because I have a CIA meeting, which is curriculum instruction and assessment. So for my district. And yeah, I love that all of you guys are like grading right now. That's awesome. I should be grading and I'm not. I really, really should. I actually just got done. Um, I just got done writing a paper for my classroom, for my, like, not my classroom, but I had a paper that I was doing for my grad school work, and ended up submitting that not that long ago, and then tried to clean my bedroom for all of you because my bed was not made. I'm just going to be honest. I made my bed just for you. So let's see. Do you do guided reading at all? Third grade thoughts. Do you do guided reading at all? Yes. And here's kind of my thoughts on guided reading. I love guided reading. I did guided reading in kindergarten. And when I first came into 4th grade, so I teach now 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. And when I first came into 4th grade, I had to kind of learn the curriculum. So it took me a little bit to kind of get into the flow of things. And I realized very quickly that, we think about K through 2, maybe even pushing 3rd grade a little bit, that the kids are learning to read. But once they start to get into the intermediate grades, which is what I teach, they're reading to learn. So I take a look at it more as a skills-based versus guided reading. In my opinion, guided reading is that very explicit instruction of here's how you're going to read it. We're going to go through the processes. The process of reading the text. I'm going to have some comprehension skill that's going to go along with it. But it is, to me, that learning to read piece of instruction. So I do it more as a skills-based instruction, which is not so much of guided reading. For me, I will do Monday is like my introduction to the lesson type day. I will kind of model it with a picture book. And then on Tuesday and Wednesday, we do a lot of practice together, like talking in partners, talking in like smaller groups. And then on Thursday and Friday, I want my kids to start doing some sort of a reading response towards the skill that we've been practicing. So this week is going to be revolved around genres and continuing to have a discussion about genres, but we're going to start pulling it into a smaller setting now that we've just finished up our DRAs. So I'm grading my DRAs tonight and then tomorrow night and starting getting them grouped as far as where they need to be going. And I'm going to start pulling those small groups, but still there'll be a little bit similar small groups. I might take some of my kids who are like my 5th and my 6th graders who are higher level. I may take them a little bit further because they know their genres at this point. So getting them to think a little bit more about analyzing the text. And then the kids are going to be responsible for completing a TDA at the end of the week. I say a TDA, but it's a reader's response, in my opinion, at the end of the week, as far as like, can you analyze the genre of your text and be able to give supports to be able to say that my book is this genre because of X, Y, and Z. So I hope that makes sense. So I do still have a couple of kiddos who are in guided reading because that's just where they are as readers. A lot of the times those are my intervention kids, and I will pull a guided reading group with them. So we will be a little bit more explicit. And then on Thursday and Friday versus them doing kind of a reader's response, it'll be almost like that shared reading response type where they'll still have small group instruction with me, unlike the other two groups. They'll still have small group instruction with me, and then I'll continue really looking at more skills at the end of the week for them. Hope that makes sense. I love it. Thank you, Christine. Tell them I said hi as well. Let's see. I have a lot of you are still grading papers. Y'all, I'm seriously so impressed with you. You guys, I need to get my butt in gear to grade papers because I'm not there. I'm a new teacher, so Jerica, did I say your name right, hun? I am so sorry. I am a new teacher and wanted to know how to get ahead on planning lessons. So I would say to batch your lessons to be able to get ahead of it. And by batching your lessons, I mean like every single day you have something specific that you focus on. So maybe on Monday, you're going to focus on planning out your morning meetings if you do morning meeting. And then on Tuesday, I would focus more on doing your reading plans, and then on Wednesday you have your math, and then Thursday is any independent plans, so that on Friday you're just making those copies and getting it done. Now, the way that I end up doing a lot of my planning is by having my kids, by creating kind of a, how do I want to say it? Like a map of what is it, the progression of the skills that I need to teach it in. So I don't actually have one of my maps here, unfortunately, I'm sorry. But I will have a map that will tell me, like, I will have the lessons kind of broken down. So if I'm thinking of going into my character unit with my 4th graders, I will pull up that character map. And on that map, it'll tell me that, you know, lesson 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it'll have their I can statements and kind of the lesson idea and the resource from which I got it from. I use Lucy Calkins. I use the Reading Strategies books. I use some of the some other texts and places that I've kind of found things off the internet that I really like, that I've used in the past, and I'll incorporate those in there. But like the unit map itself will never really change. And if I end up deciding if I need to spend a couple days longer on one's particular lesson, I can do that. If I need to kind of supplement and add more material, again, I can do that. But the map just gives me a really good direction of how do I get there type situation. Let me see if I can pull one up for you so you can see what in the world I'm talking about, because you're probably like, I have no idea what she's talking about. And I don't blame you. Seriously. So I really like that idea, and we've been really trying to work hard as far as getting it. And by we, I mean my partners and I. We've been working really hard on trying to get those created for like all of our math units as well, along with some of the upper grade units that we've had for reading. And we just honestly have not had a chance to truly finish them because they are a little bit more detailed, but they're really, really nice once you have them together. And a lot of the times districts will kind of create this for you. So a lot of districts will already have these made, which is like super awesome. And if you are able to have that from your district, I would definitely use it. But yeah, it just kind of depends on where you are and whether or not they have those materials ready for you. We have like progressions, like a progression of skills that we have to teach, but not necessarily like the lesson ideas to kind of go into that. So let me see. Okay. Holy moly, here we go. This thing's going to end up falling. So you guys see that there? So this is kind of a unit map. It's not anywhere near done. So it kind of gives the lesson ideas. It has a progression of different skills, their objectives, so which is their I can statements, and then it'll have the lesson plans next to it, and then the materials there. So that's truly what I use to kind of help get ahead of my lessons. But let me tell you, it's a lot of labor of love of trying to get that thing together. It's a labor of love, I'm telling you. All right. Bow Time Teacher, hey, how are you? So good to see you on here. You guys are also very nice. This is Becky. Hey, this is Becky. How do you differentiate in your classroom? Do you have individualized education plans, IEPs, or do you have your own system of making sure work is challenging and extending to all students? This is Becky. That is a fantastic question because I am in a very progressive district. And what I love about my district is that they truly try to meet their students at their own individual needs, meaning that we go off of something called mass customized learning. It's a thing. Google it. I promise it's out there. It's a really, really interesting kind of philosophy behind it. So here's how kind of I can break it down for you so that you can understand what in the world is this mass customized learning. Because when I first heard this, I was like, oh my gosh, that sounds really scary. What in the world are you people doing? And then I looked it up and I started reading on it and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. So if you think about it, let's think about like our day and age right now, and let's pull out Netflix, for instance, right? I think a majority of people have Netflix. So on Netflix, you go onto Netflix and then all of a sudden you click on your name, right? So everybody kind of in your family will have their own little names. You click on your name, and then on your name, once you click on it, it'll have all these ideas of these shows that you like, and then it'll have suggestions for shows that you like because it is individualized to you. If you end up going into your husband's account on Netflix, it's individualized to him. So it has like all of these ideas and these movies and these TV shows suggestions based off of what your husband likes to watch. And then if you go into your sons or your kids, it's the exact same situation. So think about as well with like Amazon. If you go out to Amazon, you have those suggestions that are fitted towards you. You're no longer having to kind of scroll and look for things that you like and saying, well, this is garbage. Nobody likes this. Nobody wants to do this. Well, no, now they're starting to get really up with technology and saying, well, here's all the things that you like. And because you like this, here are the other things that you might possibly like. So that's kind of the idea of mass customization, where we're really looking at like the individual child and really focusing on their needs specifically and kind of molding and creating the curriculum based around them. So this is why we pull in a lot of project-based learning, a lot of passion projects into our curriculum, but we meet our kids at the level that they are, at the rate and the pacing that they need, and we kind of push them from that point on. So yes to the IEPs, we do have IEPs. As far as differentiation, I feel like this differentiation on steroids. So where for me, differentiation was basically like, let's say you're teaching your math class, right? And in math, everybody's working on multiplication. Well, in this multiplication unit time, you say, oh, group A knows multiplication, they got it. So I'm going to make it a little bit more challenging. Because they know how to do 4x1 multiplication, I'm going to get them to push a little bit further. We're going to do 2x2 multiplication. And then you have this middle group, and they're still doing really well with this 4x1 multiplication. So you're going to keep chugging on that to really make sure that they understand the concept and the skill. And then you have group C over here, and this group C is basically they are struggling like all get out because they cannot do 4x1 multiplication. So you have to pull it back just a little bit to make sure they have some of those prereqs before you kind of get them going in by their 4x1. That's differentiation. Everybody's working on multiplication, but at different levels. Mass customization means that everybody's working on what they're supposed to be working on. So I have kids in division, I have kids in fractions, I have kids in place value, I have kids who are going into CPM, I have, kids who are on just totally different levels than what another group is. So I'm not planning for a multiplication unit, I'm planning for all of these different like whole group lessons, but they're smaller groups. Does that make sense? So I'm planning for a bunch of small groups, basically. So that is kind of what we do at our school in my classroom. I hope that makes sense. Let's see. Would you like to teach all subjects or just one? Well, Josh Jones, let me tell you, I actually taught just one subject and I hated it. So if you really don't know who I am and you're like, what in this world is this woman talking about? I was a teacher. I taught kindergarten for 4 years in Alabama. So I taught all subjects and it was absolutely precious and I loved it. And then I ended up deciding to make kind of a life change and I moved to Pennsylvania with my family. And in Pennsylvania, I received a job to teach 4th grade ELA. So I only taught reading and writing. So all day long, I taught reading and writing. Well, let me tell you, I got so sick of teaching reading and writing, no matter how much I love it, because I do love it. I got so tired of teaching reading and writing all day long that I absolutely hated it. But now, because I'm with the MAC team, we can kind of work our schedules and do things a little bit differently than some of our other vertical teams. And we teach all subjects. And I love it. I love the idea of being able to incorporate and be able to do cross-curricular activities and to really pull in lots of different subjects. And that's kind of that project-based learning piece that I really, really, really love. So hope that helps. Let's see. I have Y Ruse. Did I say that right? I hope so. Hi, Bridget. This is Yoli. Do you have any kids that can decode CVC words, that can only decode CVC words by 4th grade or have very low language skills as ELLs, including low language in their native language? I do not have anyone by that description. I have kids who are still struggling as far as like spelling, but they understand the phonetic piece of it, but they, when it comes to applying it, they can do it kind of separate on its own. So if we're going through words their way, and this is like tends to be some of my kids who are in like the yellows, but I will have kids who can kind of do it in isolation, but once they take that spelling pattern and they're trying to put it back into their writing time, they kind of lose that piece a little bit and they always tend to forget about it. And I think truly it's because they're rushing through it. But no, I'm sorry, I don't really have anybody by that. Let's see. Let's see. Megan, hi, I love your videos. I teach gifted and talented 2nd grade and do project-based learning too. Do you create your own projects or does your district or team work together on them? So we create our own projects. We don't have like a team of people that create that for us. So we go through our own process together and we try to pull some of the curriculum and we kind of base it around what our focus is going to be for the year. So for our multi-age like team of us, like 3 of us teachers, we get together and say, here's kind of our big focus for the year. And then we do one really big project-based learning together as a group. And then kids are responsible based upon the grades that they are in to do some individualized projects. So Fourth grade is responsible to have one individualized project completed at the end of the year. Fifth grade is responsible for 2, and then sixth grade is responsible for 3 projects by the end of the year. So it just kind of helps them to see the connections between the project-based learning piece, the big whole group piece, and then tying it to their own individualized piece there, so they can kind of see the connections and understand the processes and the methodologies of going through their own project by themselves. Obviously, with tons of support, right? Let's see. Have you guys been having a good year so far? I feel my kids are super chatty this year. And it's interesting because I kept saying that I was so excited to be able to see kind of the second year of this like multi-age kind of taking place and like going underway, and seeing how the kids would react on the second year. And y'all, they are so comfortable with each other that they just are so beyond chatty. But we've been trying out some really good strategies in the classroom to help kind of get them under control, and it's been working really well. But I'm glad like they just love each other so much that they just talk up a storm. It's like being with like their cousins, and they get together, and then all of a sudden it's like you can't control them, or at least that's how I was with my cousin. So I thought that was fun. Let's see. Waiting taupe. Waiting taupe? Did I say that right? Y'all, I'm gonna say that all day long. I'm so sorry. This year has been good but crazy. Lots of beginning of the year testing that we haven't had before. Oh, that's always hard. Don't you feel like when you have all those beginning of the year testings that you are like, I seriously can't even get into the mode of things, and they can't even focus on getting my routines down. Oh, it's the worst. The worst. Claudia, thank you so much. I love my bedroom too. It's coming together. I did tell my husband I want this color. Do you see that color right there? I want that color on that wall and then that wall. But then I want to keep this wall white. I don't know. It's a little bit different. He says no. I say yes. It's going to eventually happen because he's a good husband and he caves. Nobody tell him that, please. Let's see. Oh, Miss Kindergarten, what did you ask me? I don't even know. I don't think I saw it, to be honest. I'm so sorry, girl. You're gonna have to tell me because I'm not really sure. I'm going back and looking for your looking for your question because I don't think I saw it. Yeah, I'm excited to have tomorrow off. I feel really bad that you guys are not going to be off, but I'm going to be able to get a couple of things done, which is going to be really nice. I plan on filming a what's in my bag. I had a couple of people like request that. So definitely I'm going to try to get that filmed tomorrow, which is going to be my priority, number one priority. Let's see. Ooh, there are a couple of you that don't have school. Kudos. That's awesome. You already have parent-teacher conferences. Teach Love and Mickey. Seriously, that is crazy. I feel like that's really early for parent-teacher conferences. Ours don't start happening until November. Wow. Let's see. Megan, currently laminating math hot questions for observations. What is math hot questions? I'm incredibly intrigued right now. Math hot questions. That's such a cool name for something. I like it. Let's see. I am currently working on getting some new digital products going up. So I'm very, very curious. Can you guys like let me know in the comments if you have been like kind of getting into this whole like digital planning fad is, I don't know what it's called, like trend, because it's very different. And I feel like I like to watch like people in the planner community, not that I am like anywhere near as crazy awesome as those women are, because let me tell you, they are like really good like drawers, and like they have such really adorable like spreads on their planners. But I got into like digital planning probably maybe a year ago and started working on trying to get my own up that would fit my needs. And so yeah, I'm curious as to like if you guys are trying it out. Oh, Josh Jones, you started school on the 1st of August? Well, you're going to get out way before me, right? I'm assuming yes. Oh dear. But yeah, anyway, so I've been working on this whole like new digital planner, which I am very, very excited about because I feel like it is a combination of like my teacher planner and then my digital planner, and it's going into one. So I'm really, really excited to get it launched. It's not anywhere near ready to be launched, but I have been trying it out and then kind of changing up some things, because I find that if I don't try it out first and I don't kind of play with it and live in it for a couple of weeks, I end up regretting it because I'm just like, I cannot even, like, I feel like I have things that I want to go back and completely change and make it something different. So yeah, I'm loving this whole like digital planning piece of it. Let's see. I see another question. It said, oh, where did you go? Hollywood. It said, what ELA curriculum does your school follow? Holly, we have not a specific like curriculum that we have. So I am on the curriculum like planning. So I end up kind of over the summer, I end up doing ELA curriculum, and it's like I think it's every 4 years or so that we get together to kind of revamp our curriculum and kind of adjust it based off of like how any new ideas or theories or understandings are kind of out there, and we make changes to it. And we go based off of different types of texts that are out there. I think there were a couple of that are like Common Core related. We go based off of the Reading Strategies book. We have some that's kind of based off of Lucy Calkins. So I think we kind of pull and take from different pieces to be able to devise our curriculum. So we look at the standards that we have to be able to teach. And then we also look at kind of the skill progressions that we have to have within there. So we create our skill progressions for them, but we don't really necessarily have like a curriculum where it says explicitly like day one, teacher says this, teacher does this, students do this. So I don't have that type of a curriculum. Instead, we have something that we know the progressions of, and we're pretty free to be able to kind of tweak it and make it our own, so long as we're hitting very specific skills by the end of it. So that's kind of what we do. But yeah, I don't have like a set curriculum the way that I think you're thinking of curriculum. Let's see. Thank you guys for loving the digital planner. I too am really, really loving it. I really am. So I'm going to, yeah, I'm glad that you guys are liking it. Sorry. I'm like, I get like, I can't think and talk and look at the same time. Like, I just can't do that apparently. Like, I really struggle. Let's see. This is Becky. Your advice and videos are also helpful. I'm in my 3rd year of uni in Australia, and I really want to teach kindergarten through grade 2. And I'm terrified of getting 5th or 6th grade on my Oh, this is Becky. They're really, really like big kids. Like, seriously, they are very, very sweet. And you're going to actually see that. I think I felt the same way that you did, mainly because I was afraid of the sassiness of like the 5th and the 6th graders, and that kind of terrified me. But to be honest, like, I love both extremes. Like, I love my 6th graders and I love my kindergartners that I had, for very, very different reasons, obviously. Like, my 6th graders, I feel like I can have more of a relationship with. I kind of can have a good talking with. I mean, they can get moody every once in a while, but you kind of snap them back to reality and they're totally okay with it. And kindergarten, they're so loving and they just want you to like they just want your love and they want you to love them back. I mean, that's really about it. So I think they both have really good extremes. So don't be afraid if you get fifth or sixth grade. I promise you, you're going to love them. Like if you end up getting a fifth or sixth grade, just send me an email, girl. I got your back. You're going to be fine. I promise. Let's see. Oh, Julie, you're 10 and you want to be a teacher. I love it. You are so darn cute. Let me tell you, you're adorable. Um, so yeah, so I have also been trying a couple of things that are a little bit different and new this year in like my planning process. And something that I've been like really focusing on. Ooh, I moved my I like shook the whole desk. But something else that I've been really trying out with like my planning process is that I want to create little booklets to kind of help with the progression. So I have been working on a character booklet. I've been working on a booklet that's going to be coming up, and then doing the same idea but in math. And so for me, this kind of helps me be able to understand the progression, and it's not something that you have to have like live to by fidelity. Like you have to be on ABC. It's not like a planned curriculum itself. Like you can add in additional lessons into it. But these like idea of these little booklets is to really kind of hold myself accountable, but also provide a resource for my kids to be able to go back and look on. And I feel like I am so bad when it comes to what are they called? Like the reading journals and the math journals. I am awful when it comes to those things. I seriously can't even um I can't even keep up with them. I don't have time for them. I feel like the kids don't even look at them very much. And so they're a bigger pain than what it's worth. And I had really liked this idea of being able to put down kind of the list of, vocabulary words and some anchor charts and some different resources for them to kind of go back and look in as they kind of have these like little booklets with them, and they kind of use it within this unit and they move on. So I've been working on that, trying to get that together, and I think it's a huge, huge help. So I'd love to get some of your guys's like ideas and thoughts and like input into it. I did one and I had it posted, and it was the Be a Reader Spy Camp. So it's a version of that I'm trying to create for all of my other different units that I have. So I would love to know what you guys think about that. And if you would end up using something like that in your classrooms. I think it's really beneficial because it kind of keeps you on track. And then you don't have to deal with these huge booklets and storing them inside of your classroom. So much better. So much better. Let's see. Is it seriously already 7:30? Holy moly. Time flies when you're having fun, y'all. Let's see. Do you have any advice? This is Louise. Do you have any advice for newly qualified teachers that are struggling to find a job? So I think you getting in there and showing your face off to as many people as possible is going to be the best bet for you. Going in, making some relationships, trying to do some of those like after school, like community activities that you can join in, after school programs that you can kind of join in. Subbing is always good to kind of put your face out there. And then when job season comes around, I would always say that you need to be looking in like December and January, because sometimes people leave mid-year. And then also looking towards that end of the year, start hustling it and having your portfolio ready to drop off and going as often as possible. The more you bug somebody, the better they're going to remember you. That's kind of how I think of it. So when I first started looking for my job here in Pennsylvania, I honestly was just like in principals' faces. Like I was in their email box. I was like dropping off my resume. I was stopping by. I was sending letters saying thank you. And as much as I possibly could be around them so that they could see my name, I would definitely do it. I would also recommend creating, instead of having like a big, huge portfolio that you carry around with you with a binder, do a little bit more with technology. And I would create like a website that has some of your like criteria, some lesson plans, ideas that you've done, some of your philosophies behind education, placing it all online and putting a QR barcode onto your resume, that also would be really, really nice. And it shows principles that you have an understanding of technology and you're using it. So that's kind of my thought, to be honest. So if anybody else has any other ideas, I definitely would love if you guys put that down in the comments. Let's see. Let's see. Do you plan on getting together with Reynolds and Michelle again? Actually, I had lunch with them. Was it lunch? Like a lunch dinner. Little lunch dinner. We went to a Lenner. A little while back, I want to say right before school started, we got together and we had a lunch dinner. But I know that towards this time of the year, it's just we're so busy. We haven't had a chance. But I text them and we text back. I was actually just watching CJ's live feed not that long ago. So it was good kind of seeing him on there. I was like, oh my gosh, I hope I didn't screw him up by putting up my live feed too. I felt so bad. Let's see. Lori has, so how do you keep sixth graders working? Mine get a little sassy sometimes. I feel completing work and getting the grade isn't enough. So Lori, I try to make it as engaging as possible. So a lot of the time that I have in my classroom, they're spent collaborating and talking with one another. I feel like when they have opportunities to be able to discuss the content and work with one another, they're more likely to actually complete the assignments. Or at least that's the case for my sixth graders in general. For us, I don't typically have like an independent assignment where they're having to do everything by themselves. You're going to see that my classroom is it is constant conversation that's happening unless we're all taking assessment, which is very, very rare. Or I have them maybe like on a Friday when we're working independently to get some of our tasks done that we didn't get done for the week. But typically I will also mark their dojos. So if they're coming unprepared to my group, if they don't have their materials, I mark their dojos and they lose dojo reward at the end of the week. So what we do is we give and take dojos all week long. And then on Fridays, we give dojo rewards. So it could be like an indoor like art/games, or it can be outside. We usually give them two choices between the inside and then going outside to have extra recess for 20 minutes. Or if they don't make the dojo percentage that we kind of put up for that week, then they're done. Like they don't get to do either one of them. So a lot of the times they want to get that work done just because they want to have that extra dojo recess. Let's see. I use Class Dojo for my point system. What point system do you use? We use Classroom Dojo. It is a school-wide implementation. So everyone in our school uses Class Dojo. So that's kind of how we keep track of it. Now, I will say, girl, like we had a come to Jesus with our sweet little sixth graders. And so we were kind of talking about like Classroom Dojo and how they felt about it. And we had a sixth grader who kind of commented and said, hey, I don't really like the weight system that is in Class Dojo, because what ends up happening is I can get one bad mark and then I will have like two good marks, but I won't still make the percentage. It'll put me like at 67%. So what we found is we have to kind of give them points at the beginning of the day, because it's true. Like think about like some of your kids who you forget to give a dojo and to take a dojo, they're at 0%. So in order to kind of combat that situation that we're having, we do something that I kind of did in kindergarten. Like I think there was one year that I had sticks and everybody started the day off great, right? We all start our day off on the right foot. And so they had I think I did like 5 or 10 sticks. And so as the day went on, they would get their sticks removed. They would earn their sticks back. That was kind of how it went. And that's kind of the philosophy that we're putting into this Classroom Dojo. So what we're doing is we're giving them 10 points at the beginning of the day to kind of say that you're going to have a great day. This is how we're starting it. And then we just kind of mark. And so we mark their dojos. We can earn dojos back, that type of situation. But it helps to kind of fix that weighting system that's in Classroom Dojo, because I do think that it's a little bit odd. But I'm not sure if you found that same situation if you're having that situation in your classroom, but that's kind of what our kids noticed. And ever since we started doing that, we've been seeing a huge shift in some behaviors. Let's see. Leslie Carmichael, right? Yeah, that's right. How do you handle teammates not feeling the need to plan together? My door is always open just in case they decide to join, but it's disheartening. Leslie, I completely understand with you. I am such a person, and I was telling my husband this because I don't know if you heard like in the beginning of this like live feed that I had video and I ended up feeling just so in the dumps at the end of the week and I decided not to put it up. But I was telling my husband that I feel as though I am such a person that wants to give information and just share as much as possible because I love my job and I want to talk about it. I want to share it. I want to just like have everybody do it. And sometimes I feel like it comes off very like, I think I'm all of that and I am not all of that at all. Like at the least, in the least, like I'm not that person. I just love what I do and I want to share it with everyone. And I think um, it is very disheartening to have like teammates who don't want to plan with you, who don't want to be around, like to kind of talk about and collaborate and to kind of share ideas and to go back and forth. And I think that's just kind of based on where they are in their profession and who they are as a person, and maybe they're going through a really kind of dumpy time. But I would just definitely keep reaching out and just say, hey, I'm here if you want to plan, if you want to do this, and um, try to help them out. But there's only so much that you can do because it's a two-way street. I mean, they have to be willing to kind of put themselves out there and to understand that it's a collaboration and it's not anyone trying to say, my way is the right way, because there's not technically a right way. If there was a right way, then we would know how to solve all of the problems in our classrooms, but we don't because not every kid is the exact same way. So I totally get where you're feeling. Honestly, I don't have the answer to that question. I try to reach out as much as possible. I try to stay positive as much as possible, but I too will have some of those days where I kind of get into a funk and it will kind of tear me up a little bit. And it is what it is. Like you have to kind of move on from it. And I just brush it off as best that I can and I move on. So I'm so sorry that you're having those issues. It's always so sad. Let's see. Oh, I had a lot of people comment. Let me see if I can catch up. Uh, do you guys always like stand here and you're like looking at me as I'm not saying anything because I can't read and talk at the same time? You're like, what is she doing? I'm reading. I'm really, really sorry. Um, I'm still reading comments. Let's see. Color-coded robots. I had multiple interviews and a job fair without success. One of my friends looked at my resume and told me I needed to have a more concise but relevant resume for my each job and to have a portfolio. I like that idea. I think that's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that in the comments. Um, let's see. E. Mendez, would you share some of the things you are implementing to stop them from chatting so much? I teach in a dual language classroom and our kids are together year after year. Hey, right there. I totally understand you. So I feel like you're understanding where my kids are at right now. Like they just love each other and they just talk. So here's kind of what we ended up doing. So one, we have the house system. We implemented the house system where we have 4 different houses. And one of the things that I decided to do, and I know that this kind of goes along the lines of like that choice piece, but I make my kids sit in a certain table for their houses. I don't tell them exactly where to sit at that table, but they have to sit in that table so that I can say that that's the Zygote table. This is the Arbitrium table. This is the Andara table. And I provide point systems there. So I'll give points in the morning, I'll give points in the afternoon, I'll give points during transitions, I'll give points during work time. But that is very, very specific because they have to be sitting in their houses. Another way, and that works great for me in the mornings, like my kids do so well in the mornings and so well in the afternoons because we get house points like back to back to back to back. Now, when we get into more of like I'm just doing like my basic curriculum because our kids are ending up moving classrooms. And so I end up having kids from the other 2 classrooms. I can't have them sit by houses because I think one classroom that is like all Indara, like it's all the Indara kids. And so I can't fit them all at one table. It would be a little wrong. So what I decided to do differently is that I will group them based off of their small groups. So instead of this sitting them at a table for their house, they're sitting at the table for their small groups. So for instance, in my math class, or during my math block, I have 4 different small groups. I have a multiplication group. I'm sorry, I'm back that up. I have an A, B, C, and D group. And so those 4 groups, those are my 4 small groups. And so they have to sit at the table for their group. And this is really nice because it also allows for more collaboration and more discussion between their teams and what's kind of happening in math for them all together. So they kind of have to sit in the same table, and I will reward points as we go from there. So I'll give them tally marks. At the end of the math block, I will end up taking the group that had the most tally marks, and I will give them 5 dojo points. 5 dojo points. That's huge. 5 dojo points. And I will give them their 5 dojo points for working the absolute best together. Now, that doesn't mean that I can't take away dojo points from them. So if I see that there's one kid that, like I had to give them multiple reminders, they'll end up having dojo points taken away. So it's up to them how they want to kind of get and take for me to take those dojo points. But that works phenomenal. And then I also really started focusing a lot more on like how I am interacting with them. So I'm a very loud person. Have a very big personality. I could have been on Broadway, y'all, like, cause I'm just that big and awesome. I am just that natural of a person. Like I am just like very bubbly and loud and I'm excited. And so when I teach, I kind of get that off. And so when I get upset, like they will see that I get into huge like mama bear mode. But I have really been focusing a lot more with how I interact with my kids. So I will try to calm my voice down for one, because I'm always very, very, very excited. So I calm my voice down and then I will speak very quietly. And then I will have very clear, concise directions. I will end up saying, you are in a line, your eyes are forward, your voice is off. And I will repeat it over and over. It's like I'm a robot. I will repeat it over and over. And that has been working really, really well for them. I'm not getting myself upset. They're not getting upset for me getting upset, but they will hear that I have that very clear and calm voice, and they respond really, really well from that. So I hope that kind of helps you. But team points together, getting them to working together in houses, making them sit in their groups, and then also using some of that language has been really, really helpful for me. Let's see. Oh, the bow tie teacher. What were you wondering? I think I missed it. You're going to have to repost it, dude. I didn't see it. I'm sorry. You always ask such good questions. Let's see. Oh, what is Guardian? Go Guardian. Is that what you watch on Chrome? No, we don't have Chromebooks. We have iPads. So I don't know what Guardian is. I couldn't say that word for some reason. See, Karen, you understand me too. It's the talking. They're great kids, right? Like, are you feeling me? Great kids. They just are chatty, and that's okay. Oh, I see it. Bow tie teacher. How do you keep track of where everyone is when each group is working on something different? How do you find the time to plan all of your groups with varying topics? So when I say that I'm planning for my groups, it's like I'm planning small groups. So imagine planning for your small group math, for your small group reading. That's all I'm doing. It's instead of me planning a whole group, I'm planning multiple small groups, which is really not as difficult as what you would think. This little thing is like irritating my ear now. So when I go to plan my small groups, I will do my reading first. And usually like I will know exactly where the kids are and kind of where they go. Again, because I'm using some sort of a progression to help kind of guide me through my lessons. A lot of this is stuff that I've been working on with my partners, trying to get them created so that we can use it as a progression every single year. But that's kind of the idea. So I will sit down and I will look at, for instance, let's talk about my reading groups first. I will have one group that's going into characters. It's fourth graders. They have never had characters before. They've never been taught anything with plot before. So I'm going to start with introducing them with characters, talking about setting first, maybe for about a week, and then going into characters after that. So we'll talk about mood and setting. And then I have another group that is like a fifth grade group. So we're going to start talking a little bit more about analyzing the, oh goodness, now I can't remember what it's called. I feel like Kim and I were just talking about this the other day, and now I don't remember where they were supposed to start at. But there's another book by Lucy Calkins that we end up using, and let me show you what they look like. So I'm gonna bend down for just a second. I'm not going anywhere. Oh, you guys hear me wrestling with my stuff? Okay, I'm back. So we end up using Lucy Calkins. And so I end up having, right now I have the fourth grade unit for the interpreting characters because I'm working on the progression for that one. There's a fifth grade one that has like a really good spot of where to kind of start talking with our fifth and maybe some of our sixth graders as far as like characters and where they need to be working. And so they're going to be starting somewhere a little bit different. And then we use the reading strategies book as well. So you'll kind of see like I have all these like sticky notes, things that I want to start putting into our progressions that I just haven't gotten around to doing just yet. So I will, end up kind of going through talking about the lesson, and I focus on that skill for probably a week. Sometimes I have to focus on it for a little bit more, but I think of it as a very scaffolded approach. So on Monday, it's a lot of me kind of going through and modeling that for them, and then having them go back and maybe they're starting a reading with kind of a partner and during their independent time. And then they have just kind of free read because I want them to enjoy reading and I want to have them given the opportunity to read. Studies show that in order for kids to be able to be good at reading, what do they got to do? They got to read, and not just reading passages, but they have to read authentic text, which is so important. So I will send them out and they will go and read on Monday. On Tuesday and Wednesday, that's going to be more where we're going to be working together. I'm going to model that skill again, and then they're going to have opportunities with their partners or either in a smaller group to be able to work on it independently and have those discussions, and they come back and we touch base. And then on Thursday and Friday, they have a reader's response with that exact same skill. So if we're talking about characters and we're talking about character traits like extrinsic characteristics, maybe on Monday I model it. On Tuesday, Wednesday, the kids kind of work through maybe some passages that I found. Usually I'll go through like chapter books and find excerpts that have really good extrinsic characteristics, and I'll give it to them for them to kind of work together. On Thursday and Friday, I want them to pull it out of their text and be able to write a response to reading from it. So that's kind of the progression for it. And because I follow that exact same progression every single week, it makes it really easy for me to plan out my lessons. Same thing in math. So in math, I want them to have something where they work on with their groups at the beginning that kind of is like their warm up. So I will always plan a warm up for them, and they're all doing different warm ups. So I might have one group that's working on division. They might be going through multiplication. They might be going through single digit division, filling in the blanks, that type of thing. And they have like 6 problems every single day that they have as a warm up where they discuss it and they collaborate as a group and they submit it in through Schoology. And so everybody's is a little bit different. And then I have my actual lesson, which again, I kind of do the same thing, but I do it all week long, where we just kind of go through and we'll practice the skills, and they'll have opportunities to be able to kind of show me that they truly do understand it. And they'll have some sort of independent practice, whether it be a game, whether it be something that they truly is independent and I want to get a grade from it. It just kind of depends, and I kind of vary it based off of my group. So I know it sounds like it's a ton of work, but it really isn't as much work as you think, because it's just small groups all day long. And because I taught so many small groups in kindergarten, I feel like this is where I'm just like, I'm used to it because of that reason. I've never really been in the world of teaching where I taught like a whole group lesson and that was it. I didn't really teach anything after that. So I've always been in either small groups or individual conferences. So this is kind of my norm, if that makes sense. So it's pretty easy when you think about it. You kind of get into the motions of it. Let's see. Musical family. How do you manage kids at seat work while you're teaching small groups. My kids are off task and not good about getting work done on their own. Help. So I guess this kind of goes back to kind of setting up that expectation in the very beginning. So for me, I don't know if you heard earlier where I have my kids seated by their groups. So I have like my division group sits together, my multiplication group sits together, my CPM group sits together at a table. So I can see them and I know exactly where they are and if they are on task. I typically have a good understanding of what they're supposed to be working on. And a lot of the times, like I will get my group started where I'm working, I will stand up and I will constantly circulate. So I really am never truly sitting down doing my teaching. I stand up, I give them a problem, I say, all right, solve it. I'm going to come right back, or I want you guys working together to match these up, then we're going to discuss it. And I start walking around. And that's kind of where I'm doing circulating. Y'all, if you're not circulating, constantly in your classroom, you need to start circulating. It is a game changer. It really, really, really will change the way that your kids are working because they know that you're going to stay on top of them. And it was interesting because I went to a CPM training. And I'm sorry I look this way, but I'm making sure that everything's fine. But I went to a CPM training, and in the CPM training, she said, I do 3 rotations. So the first rotations, I don't say anything to them. And by rotations, I mean circulating. So she'll circulate the room that first time. When she circulates the room the first time, she's looking to make sure that everybody has everything out that they're supposed to have out. The second time, she's really listening to some of those conversations. And then the third time, that's when she's starting to kind of touch base with some of her groups. So I try that with every small group that I have to circulate 3 times, at least 3 times. If I get to 4, I feel like that's a hoorah moment. But at least 3 times I try to circulate when I'm in small groups. So I will get my kids started, circulate once, get them talk about it, we'll get them started on something else, circulate again. And this is like a quick motion. So because I'm never really sitting down, it doesn't really take me that long because I'm constantly walking around anyways. I hope that helps and makes sense. And then I also give and take points like crazy. And I do it by group sometimes. And it works. For me, at least. So thank you, bow tie teacher. I'm so glad that you are filling me on that circulating. It is a huge game changer. It's like definitely lets your kids know that you are on top of them. Melly, I think is the way you pronounce your name. I apologize if I said that incorrect. And my question, Math Table, is how do you know that kids need more work and that's how better results? Yep. I guess that really wasn't a question. I apologize. I didn't read it all the way. Oh, Danielle, I'm so sorry that I don't teach kindergarten anymore. Goodness. I love that you still watch me. I love you for still watching me, even though I don't teach kindergarten. That's to you. Let's see. But yeah, I think we're almost coming up to an hour, guys. So I might be cutting it off so I could get my kids ready for bed. Bedtime is hectic in my house. I don't know about everybody else, but it is hectic. Trying to get my children to brush their teeth, flossing, changing, washing hands. Oh, it's a hot mess every single time, let me tell you. And of course, Blaine just thinks that he just runs the place. Very willed. Let's see. How do you keep track of the students' learning? So for me, when I keep track of it, I'm using some sort of a checklist and I kind of keep a progression there. I don't have any that I can show you guys now, but if you would think about like the I can statements and the skills that are kind of aligned with them, I'll have the I can statements above, and then there will be like 3 or 4 different blocks that I kind of check off. So as I'm like watching my kids and I'm recording information, I will check them off to say that, oh yeah, absolutely, they totally got it. Nope, we need to continue still working on it. And a lot of the times, some of these checks are not really like grading assignments because I don't really like to grade at all. But I guess what teacher really does like to grade. But it could be that I give like 5 problems right there in small group. And I want to see how they do with those 5 problems. Well, I'll write those 5 problems on a sticky note. Y'all, anywhere I can write those 5 problems. And I will kind of check them off to say yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, and determine if they're truly understanding it. And if they are understanding it, we can kind of keep moving. If not, I can kind of supplement and add some more info, like some more practice problems for those kids who just need that help. But that's pretty much how I do it. I have to have checklists. Like checklists are my jam. Ooh.
I'm reminded.
It's my I have to take my vitamin D pill. Alexa, stop. I hope she stopped. All right, y'all. So I'm going to go ahead and start calling it a night because I now need to go take my vitamin D and get my kids to bed. Thank y'all so much for kind of joining in with me on this and coming and hanging out with me for a little bit. I so appreciate it. Don't forget to go ahead and like the video, give it a thumbs up if you haven't already. I promise I will be back with another video. I'm going to film a what's in my bag so that you guys can see it. I've had a few questions to see an updated version, so I'm going to show that to you guys. Filming it tomorrow since I'm going to be off. For those of you that are not off, put a smile on your face, start the great week off with a great start, and it's going to be fabulous. So thank you all so much for coming in and joining. I hope you have a fabulous week. Bye.